way back home.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Ascension eSports Elder League, week number 1 of season, what are we, season 3, something like that, Saved? What are we?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think we're season 3. Anyway, my name is Stretch, and he is TheSavedOne. Today we're going to be bringing you a spicy game between Squid's Wards and Relegades United. And I've got one game to get my act straight. And then we're going to pop off in game 2. But either way.
This is the second time you've done that.
What? I know, called myself TheSavedOne. It's a good name, dude. I don't know. It rolls off the tongue really.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Okay.
But anyway, let's get straight into it here. We've got 2 bans coming away for Squid's Wards already. Shen taken out of the top lane, as well as that dominant long-range control AD carry, Caitlyn, on the bottom side.
Ooh.
Yeah, Shen, he's a very weird champion because he's been in and out of the meta. We don't really know where he is at the moment. I'm guessing one of these players is a Shen player. So he's being taken off the board. He's not freakishly OP, but if someone knows how to play a good Shen, it's just real annoying. But Caitlyn as well, taken off of the board. Like you said, long-range ADC, probably at the top of the charts. Currently in the AD position. So really no surprise going over there. But moving on over to the red side, we have the Darius and the Zilean. Now Darius is that type of top laner. Again, he's a noob killer. If he gets at least 1 or 2 kills in the lane, then he can absolutely pop off. Maybe 1v2 in some senses. Zilean as well. He's in a sense that I want to say like a he's like a damage support, but then he also can carry the bot lane. He's like a lane bully style. He's just, it's everything that a support needs into one champion. Only thing that it really doesn't have is like reliant peel. It has a speed up, but like it doesn't really have, you know, like any form of reliant point and click CC.
Well, I mean, you can point and click the enemy and slow them down. You can do that as well, but
Oh yeah, you can.
I don't think I actually think that Zilean's a pretty strong support now that I'm
right.
putting a little bit more thought into it, because he's got good zone control. He's a hyper carry enabler with his ultimate, so he allows you to play a little bit more aggressively on those late game carries as the game goes on. But that being said, let's talk about these last 2 bans that have come through here for each of these teams. On the blue side here, Squid's Wards taking away that Ahri in the mid lane, and we talked about this earlier in the day. What do you think about the Ahri ban?
Once again, the Ahri is a very strong champion. We know that Ahris can absolutely pop off. She can either play very, very passive in the lane, or she can play very aggressive, or you can play an either-or type of thing, where you'll play very aggressive, but then you also have your Orb of Deception for that mobility, and you also have your ultimate once you hit level 6, again, for that mobility. So she's all around just a really nice mage there in the mid lane, long range, good damage, overall, really good pick. It's worth banning out.
Not only that, but taking a glance over at Relegades United, they've chosen to take that Zac off the board. That is something that we have seen be very dominant, not only in solo queue, but in pretty much every single game type out there.
It has a 70% ban rate for a reason, man. Like, it's just so freakishly strong if you get that champion ahead, or if just a team simply gets him and you have a jungler that just knows how to gank. If you know how to press E and you know how to land it, then that champion can be absolutely explosive. But for like the real Zac bans out there, where you can hit all of these different like angles with him, and you can where the heck did he come from? I had no idea he could even go there. Is where Zac really does shine. Plus the displacement with his ultimate is just freakishly OP. So
yeah, fantastic CC frontliner, and offering that good peel for the carries once he has gotten the initial engagement. But let's run through these team comps really quick here. Squid's Wards starting off strong with 3 very high tier picks here: Galio, Warwick, and Lucian.
Yeah, and it's also really weird because Warwick has kind of flown under the radar. No one really knows that he's OP yet. He doesn't really know, or people don't really know that he's this type of champion where if you get him ahead in the early game, he's absolutely fine for the late game. Because what happens with Warwick is that, of course, you want to gank off of your ult cooldown, but in the early game, if you really do know how to play around his fear, and if you know how to play around his Q, then he really does become this menace of a champion. And I really do want to see it come out here in this game. Lucian, there's really no surprise there, top of the charts AD. Galio in the top lane is your reliant tank in this patch. A couple of patches ago it was Nautilus. Now it's really Galio because he deals damage but then he also has an amazing team fight presence with his ultimate.
And then stepping over to Relegades United, their first three are going to be, once again, the combination of kind of damage, bruiser, and tank up there with the Orianna, Gragas, and Nautilus, the first three picks.
Yeah, it's very bold picking Orianna here in the first rotation. You usually don't see that coming out of teams nowadays. You usually see the bot lane being picked as well as the jungler, and it's this constant rotation. But the fact that this red team picked this Orianna, you kind of see how they prioritize this champion heavily. So with this being locked in, I'm guessing iBacon loves to just play Orianna, so they wanted to pick it early, and he's not really afraid to pick it really into anything. Gragas in the jungle, you can also play that in the bot lane, but Gragas in the jungle, he has beautiful clear, and he does amazing damage, and his ultimate is, again, amazing. Even though they did kind of nerf it, I want to say not a couple patches ago, it was a real long time ago. Even though they nerfed it, he's slowly come back into the meta, as well as Nautilus. He's the kind of the champion that has reliant CC. He has his E for the slow. He has his ultimate that's point and click, and you also have the hook.
Yeah, that being said, I thought that we might be seeing a Nautilus support down here, but the Kled pickup by Relegades United confirms it here. Look at the bans that Relegade United went for their last two. They constrained the support pool by removing both the Nami and the Zyra, two very problematic poke-based champions you can have down there on bottom side, and said, you know what, let's get a tank on our team there on the Nautilus. But tell me about the last two bans here for Squid's wards. They had the Lulu and the Xayah pickup. What do you think was the priority, or why do you think they went towards those two particular bans?
Well, Lulu is usually first picked throughout every single league that we see. But the thing is, once Lulu gets to this point where it's like last rotation, you really do need to take it off of the board. And combining that with the Xayah as well, Sneaky said in the LCS that Xayah isn't really a playmaker. She's a follow-up, and she's also this setup style champion. So if you have a team that has a Galio, has a Warwick, or wait, no, sorry, other side. If you have a comp that has the Nautilus, it has the Orianna, the Gragas, that's really nice for setup, even the Kled in some senses, Xayah is going to have enough time to place down her feathers. So taking that away from them, taking that away from them is really nice.
Yeah, and the other thing is that they had already constrained the bottom lane 80 carry pool quite heavily by taking away the Caitlyn and then picking up the Lucian. Those are probably top of the charts, the two most popular 80 carries down there. And then Xayah coming into a close third still does that high amount of damage that they do, and has that escape potential. So removing her off the board really makes sure that they are set up for a pretty dominant bottom lane phase here. But that being said, Lucian in the current meta is definitely a flex pick, and we're seeing it here. I think the plan is to have Iris Zero go down in the bottom lane, and then have Lucian, played by Corrin the Cat, go against Bacon-tastic's Orianna in the mid lane. And Lucian in the mid lane is known to be an absolute menace and very dominant because of the amount of auto attacks and mobility he's able to get down on the enemy. How do you think this 1v1 matchup between Orianna and Lucian is supposed to go down? Because I imagine that Orianna here might be on the back foot.
Yeah, Orianna has a lot of initial burst, right? So she has her Q, she has her W, and then she can follow that up with an E. So she can go and shield herself. But the thing is, with Lucian, he has so many auto attacks, like you were saying, that it can almost kind of outweigh. So even though Lucian could take a little bit of burst there in the early game, he can just easily slide in. Even if if Orianna misses the Q, then he can slide in, try and dodge that in any way possible. He can use his Q, he can use his W, and apply as many of his passive stacks off if needed. So I think that this mid lane matchup is going to go heavily favored towards Lucian, and I also think that in order to face against a Lucian, you need to know how to play against it. Because in some senses, people are just like, oh, it's an ADC in the mid lane, there's nothing different, we can just go and we can one-shot him. But in some senses, it's not that easy, just because Lucian mid is such a cheese style pick. And going on later into the game, when his mobility starts to rank up and he starts to get the items, then in some senses he can of course 1v1, maybe in some senses he can also 2v1, but then you can also call over the Warwick, and Warwick can help him out. But I think this is heavily favored towards the Lucian, but we're gonna have to see.
And let's take some time here to look at team goals real quick. I think that's important.
Right.
We talk about this sort of thing when we have our Ascension leagues going on. First of all, Squid's wards, team comp, Galio, Warwick, Lucian, Ziggs, Tahm Kench. Very bruisery heavy front line with a lot of peel for the back line in Galio and Tahm Kench. What are these guys really looking for their primary goals in this matchup?
I think that they really do want to re-engage. Like, when I look at this team and look at the resources that they really do have, they can engage and they can pick people off with the single target damage that they have. But then if you also look at Relegade United and what they all have to offer, they're very heavy engage. They have the Sivir ultimate. They can use the Nautilus in that sense. Orianna can speed somebody up. The Kled is there for the initial engage. But then how exactly do Squidwards follow up to that? And my answer is Galio has to use his ultimate and has to hit a couple of people. Warwick has to hit a single target ultimate and pick somebody off that's really worth getting. The Lucian is just kind of there with the Ziggs and the Tahm Kench to peel for each other in that manner. So I really do think that it's not really in order for them to win, but I think the most ideal situation would be to disengage first and then finally go in for that re-engage that we all know Galio's love and do.
Yeah, a lot of kite back potential with these guys because of the heroic entrance available on the Galio. And like we did earlier, I think I'd like to talk through the loading screen here about these teams a little bit more. It just offers us a little bit more space for us to go deeper on what we think of these champion picks. And going back to the likes of Relegades United, they have this heavy engaged front line with Nautilus Gragas, and then Orianna shields allow for follow-up damage after you catch somebody out. You said that you wanted to see the Squid's wards kite backwards and really rely on the Galio counter-engage to dissuade any deep diving and to make sure that they've got CC to play around here. How likely do you think it is that Relegades United actually walk into that sort of trap or bait scenario? Because once you see a Galio in the game, you've got to expect that sort of counter-engage potential.
Yeah. I think that it's also very hard to pull that off as a team, where you can effectively say right now, all right guys, look, they have a heavy engage style comp, let's just peel back and then we can try and re-engage. Because when you're in the moment, you're almost just kind of always looking for that type of engage. When one person from Relegades United just engages, then it's almost kind of the immediate effect where it's like, all right, Ziggs is going to use his ultimate, Warwick's just going to go in, Lucian's going to try and peel for himself, Galio, depending on where he is going to try and do something. But I think that this team is also looking for that type of pick style thing where Tahm Kench is going to grab somebody, eat somebody, and then try and get into their team in some sort of way.
A lot of options here for these guys as we're just getting loaded in. All these guys, except for Recrisis up there in the top lane on that Kled, fully loaded in at the moment. But let's take just a second to talk once again about these team comps. Nautilus down in the bottom lane is not something that we typically see, and not only that, but he's chosen to go for Courage of the Colossus. How do you think the two summoner spells of Courage of the Colossus and Stoneborn and Pact actually stack up in the bottom lane? Because I think that we're getting to a point where we're starting to see a little bit more variation there.
Yeah, I think that in terms of Courage of the Colossus, sorry, you really do want to take it if you have a lot of heavy CC. So I think on Nautilus it's perfectly fine, because if your main objective is to get into the fight and your hook pulls you into them, it's completely fine. But then you also see the argument of where, okay, so Thresh can take Stormborn Pact and he can do completely fine. Well, I think it's honestly just preference. So if you want to be that type of tank style threat in a fight and have a mini shield when you go in, that's perfectly fine. But then if you also want to have that type of, all right, I want to heal my team a lot more, and I know they can get a lot of auto attacks off if I get in there and start auto attacking people, then that's also really good too. So I mean, it's all about preference. Allahu Akbar wanted to go for that one, so I mean, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly, but we are already into the game, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, game number 1 of Squid's Wards versus Relegades United about to pop off here, and we're seeing two different, once again, mindsets of how the game is looking to be played here. Relegades United looking for a bot side invade through this tri-brush, it looks like, as they're stacked up. They're probably going to shift orders here to get Aluha Akbar out front and look for a catch and try. Leona Del Bay in the tri-brush here, unsuspecting, stepping forward. Looks like they might not even be looking at their computer screen. Couple of auto techs go down, but Nautilus gets body blocked by the rest of his team. Both the staggering blow and the hook are used there to get the flash out of this Tahm Kench. And with that, they have a little bit of a summoner spell advantage down in this bottom lane. Now, Tahm Kench, not the person you typically want to focus with your damage, but any summoner spell that you can get down in a duo is definitely an advantage.
And it's really cool because initially you almost kind of assume that you can't really gank this lane just because of how much disengage it has overall, unless for whatever reason Ziggs and Tahm Kench want to fully shove up to the tower, almost kind of to the point where they're underneath the tower. Then I think it's gankable. But I mean, at that point Ziggs has a lot of minions underneath the tower, and then he has his little bomb minefield, and then he can just poke at you. Layer all of that on top with a Tahm Kench that can just eat you and then just, I guess, run away with you and then try and disengage in that way. I think burning the flash there is really nice. So I think it's a little bit of a handicap there in the bot lane, but I don't know if Gragas really wants to go down there in the early game.
Yeah, that being said, talking about this bottom lane a little bit more, Sivir is not one that we typically see very often in the Rift.
Yeah.
Actually, bottom lane hook going through from Alua Akbar against Leona Del Rey yet again. But touching back on Sivir, we don't see her very often in these matches at all. Why do you think that is?
She's very, like, not one-dimensional, but there's a lot of limited things that you could do with that champion that a lot of other champions could do better, right? So she has wave clear with her W, but it's like very, very slow and unreliant. So in that sense, I think that Xayah fits that role absolutely perfectly. But then she also has her Q for poke. Xayah does that as well. Caitlyn does that. Lucian does that. I mean, all across, she's just not that great of a champion. Even the spell shield, I think there's other champions that can just peel away, even without a spell shield in their kit.
Yeah, but she does have the ability to help her team get into the fights a little bit faster, and that in itself is a little bit unique to Sivir in terms of increasing movement speed because it can be used as disengage. But like you were saying, even Ashe probably sets up her team better than a Sivir can in terms of trying to get them into a team fight. Bottom lane, another hook landing, topside 2v1. Looks like they're trying to get the first kill here on Recrisis, who goes very low to the red buff burn, but it will not quite tick away. Not even using his potion there. He stays alive, which actually surprises me quite a bit, but they're able to get a little bit of advantage here for Horseman 4 up in the top lane.
Yeah, and it's also really weird because this Warwick took a very interesting path. He didn't take advantage of the jungle sustain, because you almost have to assume that Gragas is going to do a full style clear because of how much AoE he has. But the fact that Warwick, he went for only the single buffs. He went for the red buff, the blue buff, and then the Gromp. And it's almost kind of weird because you look at it and you only see this Warwick that has 3 CS, but he's also kind of making that up because he took the enemy Krugs. But right now, Gragas is sitting in a perfectly fine spot. He's not wasting any time in any lanes. Recrisis, the only thing that he had to use is his teleport, so he's absolutely fine with that. He didn't have to use his flash. Again, he didn't have to use his one potion, so that his lane sustain will be perfectly fine for the time being, but...
Yeah, touching back on that Krug steal real quick, that's something that I'm actually seeing pretty often here as I'm watching more of these games. Junglers who are looking to pressure the top side make up for a failed gank by getting into the enemy jungle and taking away that Krug to try to get themselves back into the game in terms of their gold efficiency. And we might start to see that being a counterpoint for the enemy jungler here, seeing if they can get wards on it, maybe have their top lane go down and harass that guy while they're trying to get that camp away, because Krugs takes forever to really knock over. So that might be something that people have to be a bit careful of.
Yeah, 10 CS as well as 100 and something gold. It's perfectly fine to fail a gank, but then get that on top of it. Obviously, you don't want to go for the failed ganks, and you want to only go for the ganks. I guess that you can maybe get something off of like a flash or maybe even a kill in some senses. But I guess not really luck, but just knowledge of where maybe Gragas is or where junglers nowadays really want to go and get. It's really good coming out of this Warwick.
Yep, top lane, a little bit of harassing back and forth between Recrisis and Horseman 4. Another hook actually goes down onto this Tahm Kench, and I like how Aluha Akbar does not have any preference on who he is hooking. He's perfectly fine going in, using his Courage of the Colossus shield on cooldown, and slowly chipping away at this Tahm Kench, because when you think about it, you have to start the fight with a Tahm Kench low HP, otherwise you're never going to take him down, and if you focus that Ziggs, they're just going to eat him with the Tahm Kench and run away. So I like that target priority.
And it's also really expected coming into this lane, seeing this Ziggs and seeing this Sivir. We know that Sivirs, they just love to auto-push this lane and shove the enemy underneath the tower, and that's how they kind of get ahead in that sense. They just get a whole lot of CS, and then off of that, maybe they can get some damage. But we all know and love Ziggs to be that kind of one-shot style mage in the bot lane. So that's going to be very, like, we're going to expect that a whole lot here in this laning phase. And the fact that he's just using his mana just to wave clear is perfectly fine, just because he's not looking to kill here in this early game. He's just looking to farm up, he's looking to get some gold, go back to base, get a couple of items, and then come back into lane.
Yeah, the other thing I'm noticing about Aluha Akbar in this bottom lane is he does not use his other abilities until he really wants to commit onto a fight.
Yeah.
He really is only using the Q, getting the staggering blow, proccing the Courage of the Colossus, knowing that he's not going to take damage on the way out already, and then steps out. So beautiful cooldown management here from this melee support player.
Yeah, it's something that we usually don't see out of support players. They just use all of their cooldowns, use whatever they can get. And he's landing every single hook here in this bot lane. Eventually, he's going to try and translate into a kill.
Yep, it looks like the shield from Tahm Kench is finally popped here, meaning he's not going to be able to regen up any of that additional health, and really didn't block all that much from the shield regardless. So both the Nautilus and Sivir on the bottom lane for Relegades United having a good time of it in the lane, and it shows through their 6-minion lead here. But they really need to extend that a little bit farther, I feel, in this lane if they're going to stop this Ziggs turret pressure.
Yeah, it's just eventually, it's gonna get to the point where Ziggs is just gonna be hammering down on your towers if you leave him in the lane for just way too long. And it's something that we see out of Ziggs a whole lot. It's just where Sivir's gonna try and rotate. Let's just say, like, if she gets the tower bot lane first, and then Ziggs is just going to have a free lane to do exactly whatever he needs to do. But finally, we're seeing Gragas here in this bot lane. Hook, finally, for like the first time, misses. Body Slam does not connect.
Yep, Body Slam going a little bit wide there, and actually the lot of Relegades United taking damage from either the turret or the enemy there. So decent chunking coming out of Iris Zero and Leona Del Bay. Hook underneath the turret onto the Ziggs, eaten by Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench goes down for first blood. Nautilus is still there tanking up the turret. TP comes in for Horseman 4. Ultimate from Ziggs takes them continually lower, but they're still in a 3v1 scenario, 3v2 with Ziggs re-entering the fight. Horseman 4 can't quite find the last hit onto Nautilus here, and now it looks like Godfist Yasuo is having a little bit of trouble here. The win from Galio taking him very low, but they've got enough peel to make that survivability happen. Flash to ignite from Core and the Cat in mid lane, and the Bacon-tastic ultimate does not complete its wind-up animation before he dies, and he's able to walk away from that couple last turret shots with a kill.
A little bit of misknowledge with the champion itself, because Lucian players do know that you can cancel the ultimate mid, not mid animation, but you can just basically just cancel the ultimate and then have the double shot. But Core and the Cat continued to use his ultimate, finally stopped using the ultimate, flashed after the Orianna, and then ignited. So it was a little bit of summoner usage there in the bot lane. All in all, he finally got the kill there. After all of his aggression, also, he shoved up the wave to the tower, denying Orianna of just a couple of CS. But a couple of CS could mean the difference between a CS lead and not, and we already see that here. 74 to 60, or now 70. But Lucian finally coming back into lane with a Bilgewater Cutlass, as well as that recurve bow. So he's going to have a lot of damage, a lot of lifesteal, as well as a lot of attack speed.
A lot of sustain available for him in this middle lane. Bottom lane, though, Aluha Akbar, Boom, and Come On Shoot Faster doing a fantastic job of clearing out this wave. Nautilus Hook barely goes wide on Iris Zero, and he would have been a bit of trouble there, but Leona Del Rey definitely in position to get him out of any sort of sticky situations he finds himself in. Now these guys are just playing the game of trying to keep these minions away from the turret. The mana regen for Ziggs has stepped up now that he's finished his lost chapter there in the bottom lane. So really looking for the XP, really looking to get the level ups, and really looking to push forward as much as possible to try to get to that satchel charge point on that turret. Mid lane dash in combined with Cutlass. Actually, the immediate interrupt on the Warwick ultimate there. They still pick up the kill on the Orianna, but they have to take a little bit more damage than they would have liked. Tahm Kench, bottom lane, is rooted up. Leona Del Rey trying to get out with their Ziggs friend there. Does make it, but a huge mid lane 3-man gank there onto Bacon-tastic, takes him down. Hook goes in once again on Leona Del Rey. Staggering blow keeps him place. Nautilus ultimate for the knock-up there, but Come On Shoot Faster cannot get in range for the Q. Mid lane, it looks like Lucian's in a bit of a hairy situation. Picks up the kill, though, on Godfist Yasuo. Finally, we will get last hit by Re-Crisis. Bottom lane, looks like the gank from Rusty comes in. He's trying to find the fear, gets the slowdown after picking up the kill on Come On Shoot Faster, and now Nautilus is in a problematic scenario as well. Finally, they pick up 2 kills here, and that looks like it might be a first dragon as well for Squid's wards.
Yes, Lucian trading 1 for 2 there in the mid lane. Finally finishes off his ward. You can't really get any more items off of that. But there in the bot lane, we saw that Warwick was basically just running down, and Ziggs only uses this utility source of damage, where he just used his ultimate, it hit 2 people. Warwick came in and got a very easy double kill. Now, the rest of the team is getting the dragon, and they got that dragon, allowing the team to get a little bit of more sustain there in the top lane as well.
Oh my goodness. Bacontastic this Galio underneath the turret. Horseman 4 trying to get himself out there, will not make it, and that's 2 kills now for this Re-Crisis Kled play. One in the mid lane previously, Encore and the Cat. Clean up after the 1v1, or clean up after the kill on, I think, Godfist Yasuo in that 2v1. But either way, this Kled's starting to get a little bit of momentum. Greed play by Horseman 4 there, trying to get that top lane outer first blood turret gold for himself and the rest of the team, but couldn't quite finish it off with his little bit of auto attack damage. Now, looks like the Rift Herald is the next target for Relegades United.
I also really love how this team is just very reactive. How they go, whoa, in the mid lane. Whatever.
Yeah, mid lane, Sivir ulti popped here. Dash forward, looking for a potential kill on Bacontastic. Actually finds it in a 3v1 scenario. The Ignite there helping them get the last hit on that Orianna kill. And with Orianna no ulti up, just stays there and kind of takes the hit. Mid lane, it looks like Rusty taking a bit of damage there, but Bacontastic had every opportunity to completely leave that situation. Mid lane, looks like Flash Body Slam underneath the turret. Infinite Duress under the tower to try to finish off Warwick. Will find it there. Last auto attack from the turret, though. Last turret shot, I'm sorry. Will pick up that kill, and the reinforcements coming in from the bottom lane as Leona Del Bay and Iris Zero show up to defend this tower.
Yeah, and it's also really cool how Galio's now transitioning his lead over from the top lane, getting that first blood tower. Now going into the mid lane and acting as that tank force against this tower. He just wants to go. He doesn't really care that the Kled has the Rift Herald. He just cares that the rest of his team tries to get this mid lane tower. The Kobe shot. He got it.
Yep, ultimate coming in from Iris Zero there, and really making it look good on this Ziggs. They've got the satchel charge available to them as well to help take out this turret, but it looks like they will not need it. Not only that, but it is on cooldown, so the 3 members there from Squid's wards will take down that turret, and they've already shifted their focus as well. Corin the Cat down in the bottom lane, getting the calling down into Bacontastic, will actually pick up the kill before the shockwave pulls him away from that turret at the end, doing just a bit of damage, but this Lucian is looking very strong at the moment.
Dude, he did not care whatsoever there in the bot lane. He took just a little bit of damage, and then he's just like, all right, now you're dead. You don't have anything to protect you. You don't have anything to really fight against me. You don't have your flash. You don't have your exhaust. Or you had your flash, but then I also have my flash. But there in the bot lane, you basically just move the Ziggs all over the map, and this is exactly what he's used for. He's not used to kill in the lane. He can get a couple of kills in lane if needed, but he's basically uses that turret style, execution style for us. In the bottom lane is going to fight.
Yeah, large brawl here, 3v3 scenario. Leona Del Bay going very low. Corin the Cat actually able to stay alive here, and this is where that lifesteal comes in. He's able to keep himself up, not only with the heal from Ziggs, but with his own Blade of the Ruined King. Kled coming in very late, no ability to cancel that ultimate, and now he is actually going down to Iris Zero here. The 4-man stack coming out of Squid's wards might be looking at an inner turret take, as there's not much defending pressure here out of this Orianna. No ultimate available. Galio has plenty of armor to tank up this turret if they really want to go for these kills here, and with no actual turret aggro on him, he's able to just zone these guys off, wait for his team to take this turret, and they're able to disengage afterwards.
He does a lot of damage, and he also is this big tank force. So you basically saw how Nautilus and Orianna, even though they were at full health and full mana, they did not want to go in onto that Galio just because he had his taunt, he had his Q, and he had his E. So that's 3 sources of damage and also CC all together, and you just don't want to face against that champion overall. It's not fun.
Galio definitely hard to deal with here, but we're approaching the 16-minute mark, and we've got roughly a 7k gold lead already for the likes of Squid's wards. Got the gold values up, so you can tell here already that the major carries of the game are Core and the Cat on this Lucian, and right behind him there, about still 1.4k is going to be Iris 0 for Squid's ward. The rest of the team of Relegades United are all sitting roughly 2k behind those two, so really having a hard time of keeping up with the gold gen of Squid's ward's carry positions. So they've got to really be careful on how they handle the rest of this match and get to this back line if they can. Otherwise, they're going to have a really hard time handling all the damage that they're throwing out.
And you're starting to see a whole lot of just confusion coming out of Relegate United, because you saw them all just group mid there, and that's just almost kind of like the default instinct, where it's like, okay, all of these tier 1 towers are down, let's just all group mid. But then they finally realize this is not the place that we want to be. But the rest of Squidward's, they're sending their Galio towards the top, and that's their tank. He wants to try and attract some people up there, while the rest of the team tries to set something up here in this bot lane. It's very perfect because in 30 seconds there's going to be that dragon, and it is that mountain dragon, which both of these teams really do want. But I don't know if both of them can get it.
Yeah, mountain dragon, fantastic for not only, you know, just late game dragon pressure in terms of getting your Elder Dragon and getting enhanced damage on that thing, but it kind of is the enabler and the catalyst for all of the neutral buffs together. So bottom lane looks like we might have a catch scenario here with Alua Akbar coming in. Good knock-up is going to be the disengage for these guys there, but no full committal for either of these teams, and only the ultimate used to push these guys back. Mountain Dragon has spawned up here in the bottom lane, and it looks like that Squid's wards are looking to pick up the second dragon for their squad there. Ultimate over the wall actually misses completely, and they still have the spell shield on Sivir, at least for a little bit of time. Ultimate on Sivir still has not been used. I guess it just now came off cooldown as Kamanchu Faster is staying in the brawl, trying to get the auto attacks down if he can. Finally finished off by Rusty. But the rest of the fight is going to go absolutely haywire as Core and the Cat has entered to clean up absolutely everybody. Double kill, no triple kill for him. And the dragon is completely wide open for Squid's wards, but it looks like they're looking for turret pressure instead.
Yeah, these teams have so many options to go towards. They send the Galio towards the top lane. He stayed there. Even though he did not have his TP the whole entire fight, he had his ultimate and had the option to come down there. It didn't even matter. He just stayed towards the top lane. He finally hit down that tower and he killed it. Throughout the whole entire fight though, this Lucian absolutely just popped the heck off. He did not stop trying to dash in, just position himself correctly throughout thick and thin. This Lucian carried his team completely. Also, a little bit of a thing, Warwick ulted over the wall. He hit the ultimate, but Sivir had the spell shield up. That's just a little...
Oh, okay. I thought the spell shield was still up after it went through, so I thought she had like sidestepped it unintentionally and it missed.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Okay.
But then I saw him ult over the wall. It looked like he was on top of the Savior, and then I saw her spell shield go away.
Gotcha. So I guess she did end up eating that ability with the spell shield usage. So
yeah,
good positioning by Come On Shoot Faster. And I like how he's tried to stick in there and finish off the team fight with as much damage as he could. But with the amount of health he was already at, he could not actually stay up for long. But with that dragon taken down, Baron spawning in 30 seconds, a lot of pressure here available for Squid's wards. And with the amount of damage, percent life damage that's available on Core and the Cat, you've got to imagine that this Baron on spawn is a high priority for these guys.
Yeah, Baron is absolutely huge at this point in the game when it's 20 minutes in, and some teams really don't prioritize this when they are this far ahead. It's a 10k lead at 20 minutes in the game. One of the teams, or the team that is ahead, the blue team, Squidwards, is they have their the Mountain Dragon. So this really is a big possibility if they do want to start this Baron up. They are going to be starting it. They have that tank force of the Warwick, of the Tom Kent. They also have the damage with the Ziggs and the Lucian. Let's see how this fight plays out.
Yeah, going very low here. I think that Gragas Barrel offered just a little bit of vision for them here. The taunt actually being used to try to stop the engage here. Backside looks like Warwick's going in, trying to take out Sivir. Kamanchu Faster is peeled off. Blue team still gets the dragon. I'm sorry, the Baron. but an aggressive flash in there by Gragas trying to steal that thing away. Hero's entrance comes in, knocking up three. And here comes Horseman 4 with the CC. Goes down still to the Sivir. Come on, shoot faster, finding that last hit. But they not only lose the Baron now, but they lose 3 teammates, and they don't have these minion waves in a good enough position to really defend. Bottom lane is completely pushed up. You gotta imagine these guys are losing inhibitors off this.
Dude, I imagine that they're just basically going to lose their base after that one, man. Like, I would be just so devastated if I was anybody on this team, just because I don't want to harp on this guy way too much, but got this Yasuo. He got into the pit, he had his smite available, and Warwick was not in the pit. All he had to do there was just wait for the Baron to go under his, under the smite, and then just smite down the Baron. The rest of his team gets the Baron, and they maybe have a chance to try and defend something. Now it's just full rampage. Bot lane inhibitor goes down. Mid lane inhibitor has to go down at any second now. It looks like Greg is maybe looking for a redemption fight, but he's slowly being poked down only by the Tom Kench.
Yeah, Zig's doing a lot of damage here as well, and if this team is looking to close out this game in any semblance of quick timing, they could rotate up to this top side of the map and start just sieging that one up with the rest of this Baron buff. I think their health bars are high enough, and they've got that Ocean Drake ticking their health bars up as well, but instead they're going to take away some of this bottom side jungle here, maybe look to back afterwards, reset, and step back in with their newfound riches. And that might be how they end up closing this one out. But a little bit of the Baron buff going to waste here as they just casually steal away some jungle.
Yeah, it's basically just this point where these guys got to reset. They just got the Baron, they got 2 inhibitors, and now it's just like, in a sense, the final point of the game, where you just need to go top lane. You got to get that final inhibitor. In a sense, you also have to be patient. Just wait for the bottom lane minions to go in, wait for the mid lane minions to go in, and you just wait for somebody to try and go and clear that. That is the exact point when you have to use your range carries. You got to use the Ziggs, you got to use the Lucian, and just get the tower.
Yeah, the rest of Squid's wards now grouping up towards this top side of the map, and really, Relegades United having a hard time defending what should be their base, but yeah, looks like Squid's wards have a lot of pressure here, especially with those super minions barreling down the lanes, and all they have to do really here is just stack up in the top lane, look to siege for a time, and get poked down with Ziggs. And they should have this game pretty easily. Now, there's still some engage potential available by Godfist Yasuo if he's able to split up the team quite well. But with the 2 tanks stepping forward like this, the 3 tanks stepping forward like this, it's difficult to find that positioning for that explosive cast. Taunt goes down as the Ziggs ultimate comes through and takes down the health bar of Come On Shoot Faster. Ziggs stepping forward, looking to try to finish off that Sivir, but cannot quite find it. Still, health bars are low, but no one has fallen. I take that back as Corin the Cat finishes off Recrisis and does the same for Godfist Yasuo by the likes of Rusty. And now it looks like the base is completely split wide open like an egg. The rest of the squad of Squid's wards taking everyone down as best they can as the game finally wraps up here. These guys just making sure to do what they can to push this game forward, and it closes it out at the 24-minute mark. A very short game.
Yeah, very short game, very cookie cutter style game where it's very one-decided. There was no really, there was no throws that happened throughout that whole entire game. Absolutely perfect game coming out of Squidward's, but it's time to move on to the result screen.
Yeah, taking a look at our damage charts here, Corin the Cat by far out-damaging most everyone on the map there. The second place slot going to Ziggs in the bottom lane, played by, once again, Iris Zero, who was very patient in that lane. He saw how much the hooks on Alua Akbar's Nautilus were landing on his support there and was not too hasty to react to that, put out enough poke to really make sure that the trade was not devastating, but still was in a position to come out of the lane healthy and make sure that he had enough last hits to get into that turret destructing position. So well played on those two guys. And you know, the other ones that kind of go unnoticed, the tanks, the frontliners, really making sure that everyone stays safe here. So you know what, let me take a, what's the damage mitigated stat looking like here? Wait, is that not on this? Wait, where's the damage mitigated, the self-damage mitigated stat?
That stuff doesn't matter.
Wait, no, but the tanks. Okay, whatever. We're going to go ahead and get set up for game 2 here, guys. Make sure you stay tuned. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes as we get everyone situated, and we'll be live as soon as possible. We'll see you in a minute.